What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to be taking a look at Melania. This guy's a very good player. He's actually playing in the professional league in Marvel Rivals. I did actually record this game once before, and all of my audio got corrupted. So we are going to go ahead and look at this again, and it's not going to be live, but it's the next closest thing. As usual, I'll include the replay ID in the description if you want to watch this replay for yourself, and let's get right into it. Something I did want to mention before we kind of get into this is that you can see he plays a ton of different characters here technically. I don't know why it's saying a couple of these other characters that don't actually get played, but this will be Bucky, Punisher, Psylocke, and Black Widow. So we will get a little bit of time on a bunch of different characters here, which is going to be pretty cool. This is definitely a situation where I think it kind of sparks a little bit more conversation about, you know, when to swap, what's actually going to work, what's working, what's not working, what's going to get us past this certain point in the game. So I think it would be kind of interesting to go through and talk about that a little bit as we're going through. So we're going to start off on Bucky here. And we are actually going to be playing with, I believe Happy 2 is one of those, he's like usually top 100 or something like that at the very least. Harvey's obviously the professional Loki, and then we are playing against Mace and Valentina Eve, who we have also spectated in the past as well. So just getting a little bit of poke damage on Bucky. Kind of looking to see if he can get the healers. And his team is actually super disjointed off the rip here. He has two people playing over on the top right over there. Both of his tanks are on the top right, so he's not able to hold this high ground on the left. Namor is actually going to be annoying over there too. Gets a nice hook on this Magneto, pulling him to low ground on the bottom right hand side. But the enemy team does just kind of fully commit to that right hand side. They kind of run him down, and he's just going to be in kind of a bad way. Namor getting the Hela in a 1v1, and they're going to give up this first point pretty easily. The enemy team is going to be playing a 3 healer for most of this kind of replay, and he's only going to be playing 2 healers on his team for most of this replay. So it is going to be a little bit interesting here, but going in through the portal, looking to get a little bit of follow-up damage on that Luna, not able to finish off that cloak and dagger as she uses her fade and goes up to high ground, and then actually hops back through the portal as they lose that first point. Trying to stay a little bit alive as his team is a little bit staggered, so they do have a couple people kind of spawning there. And he's able to kind of join them as opposed to just kind of running it down, dying on point, staggering himself a little further. So they have a little bit of time to recuperate here, get their act together before the enemy team starts running at them one more time. Making sure to take out these Namor squids and trying to stay around this corner, trying to get a pull into his team. But I think this 3 healer is going to cause them a lot of issues here. And this is a place where I'm going to pose the question to the comments section. You know, what would you kind of swap here to kind of make this? You'll kind of see where it gets a little bit more challenging, but they do lose that first point. They're able to kind of follow up and get a few more picks over here. But what do you swap to? When do you just mash the 3 healer all the time, or is there a specific DPS? I like to think it's better just to get backline access, force the healers to kind of look around a little bit more, get a little bit more pressure on them. So playing something like you know, Spider-Man. Look at this slow on the Widow ult. Good freaking lord. But playing something like Spider-Man, something even like BP, even if you're not killing anybody, you're still making sure that pressure is there. They do lose their Doctor Strange. Mag pops ult on the enemy team looking for the one-shot. Does actually end up getting it on Harvey. Gets a nice double pull, but Luna's able to keep her whole team safe. And this is the part where Bucky is not going to do a whole lot. He does a little bit of damage here, but not going to be super effective damage as he is just taken out. They do lose their Groot and stagger pretty heavily as the enemy is able to get a little bit more distance on there. Harvey taking a little bit of damage, so hopefully he gets a little bit safer here and is able to walk on out of there, fully resetting, giving up a little bit of ground to the enemy team here. Gets bodied by the Widow, kind of waiting for the heals around this corner instead of just kind of unga-bungaing all the way into point. Not able to use any mobility here. Loki just being slightly out of that left shift. And they do actually lose their cloak and dagger. They lose Harvey, and they lose the Hela there too. He soon follows, and his team just gets absolutely mopped here. Not able to get any kills with any of that Bucky damage. It's just really quickly healed back. And unless they have a nice ult combo here, it's going to be bad news bears for his team. They have that nice Groot Namor combo, but I haven't seen that come out quite yet. So they do have kind of a guaranteed one shot on the back line here, but they haven't actually used that. And he's not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage here to the back line. Not going to be able to shoot around that Magneto super easily unless he lands a nice pull. Tries to get a pull on the Magneto, but Magneto does just shield it as well, so that's going to cause some issues. But yeah, he's going to get Magneto pretty low here, be forced to back up a little bit, and then is going to just be taking that one shot to the mouth as the enemy team does just kind of run him down here. And we're going right back in over here, just walking back to spawn. His Mag and Namor are able to take 2 out. Mace returns 1 onto his Hela. Luckily able to step out of that Namor ult. I think he's also trying to go for a couple of hooks onto this Magneto, and I just don't think that's the target that they really need hooked. His team really just does need to take out at least one of those healers if they're going to have a chance of winning in these fights. Get some nice follow-up damage on the cloak there, so takes her a little bit low and then finishes her off with the E. But a lot of these shots are going into a shielded Magneto, and I don't know if that's the vibe necessarily. Gets a nice pull in. Magneto's just able to quickly walk out, has a lot of healing behind him. And then the Cloak and Dagger does actually just ult onto point. Probably be saving Hook to try and get her out of that. Hook's the Luna, but she's in Cloak and Dagger ult. She's going to be staying pretty safe. Pizza Demon on that Luna, just using the Luna ult to keep her team safe as well. So they're going to be able to hold the enemy at this choke point here. But Magneto has already farmed ult, trying to just juke him out a little bit. Mag not able to get the one shot, but they do lose the Spider-Man. I do like the Spider-Man swap here, though. Get a little bit of pressure on that back line. Luna and Mantis do overlap support ults, but it is going to make the entirety of his team pretty useless here, and is just going to be taken out by Namor ult. Luckily, his team is able to return a couple kills with the help of that Spider-Man, Namor, and Mag. They get the full 6-person wipe just as the clock is under 2 minutes left. So, still a chance to hold them here, but spoilers, if, you know, this is going to go to a 3 push, because, you know, that's how it goes. Peeking the Widow, a little bit scary when he's not at 100% health, but trying to get his ult back. But I don't think his ult is going to be doing a whole lot, just because they have 3 stall support ults on the enemy team. So no matter what, his ult is not going to get is going to get pretty much countered every single time. That's why I just don't think Bucky is the play here. But still committing to it. Harvey going to ult, try and keep his team alive here. And then we see the other Cloak and Dagger ult being used from Valentina Eve. Tries to pull the Cloak and Dagger out of that ult, but actually hits the Fade here. Not going to be taken out quite yet. Going for some shots on the backline here. I think the target selection is a little bit better. Looking for those pulls on the backliners. But Magneto ends up just being annoying, getting behind him a little bit. So he does have to kind of deal with him a little bit more. I don't know. At this point, we're just kind of stalling. Just trying to take as much of the enemy's time as we possibly can. Namor has already farmed ult again. This Namor is ulting every 5 seconds. And then just forced to use Bucky ult into Mantis ult. Mantis and Luna ult both ulting. Just going to be able to stall, keep their teams alive. And there's not a whole lot that his team can do about that one. So they're going to go kind of get that last little bit of the push. And we're going to go into a second round and see what we can do. I do like the pivots in here because they know that the enemy team is going to run that 3 healer comp into this second round. And we're going to actually switch. We're going to keep the Spider-Man that we used the previous round. Since we're on attack, we get a little bit more space. And we can switch to the Venom. And then Melania is going to switch to the Psylocke. They're going to have a lot more backline access, a lot less front to back, making sure that they're not getting as much damage into that Magneto. And they're getting it more into targets that actually matter. So going right around the left-hand side here. I think he's going to commit his second shift to get up on high ground here. And already the healers are kind of looking back at him. They're able to get a nice pick on this Mantis here. Unfortunately, Mace on that Magneto is able to get his Namor. Widow also forced to look back here, not going to be looking at that front line. So Guru on that Venom is going to be taking a significantly reduced amount of damage as he pushes up. They are almost able to get a full tick, but they do lose the edge in this fight as Mace and this other Namor take a couple of them out. Going to sit in invis here, doing a little extra damage on the back line before he's finally taken out. Harvey switching over to that Jeff and see what they can get with this second push. 71% on ult, so they do have Spider-Man ult and Psylocke ult coming up pretty soon here. Let's see what we can get done. What do we think of this skin too? I think the other one's a little bit better, but the skin is pretty cool. Thoughts? Leave a comment below. Why not? Hela gets a nice pick here on the Namor, so they're going to be significantly less damage coming in on that Venom. Venom should feel a little bit more confident, but he gets absolutely bodied by the Widow. Widow gets a nice two-piece, takes out Harvey and him. And the enemy team going to be able to sit on that point, feeling pretty confident that they have fended off that second push. And this is where we will switch to the Black Widow, and I think this is what we're going to be playing for the rest of the game, if I remember correctly. I think we're going to try and match the Black Widow in the other team. Look for a pick on one of those healers, but does get some good body shots into Mace, get a little bit of follow-up damage in there. His Venom goes kind of crazy in the backline here. He gets a nice tap on the Namor on the high ground, and the Magneto and Luna are just going to have to kind of sit there and enjoy. Magneto missing the one shot, thank God, but he and Harvey are going to be taken out. Pizza Demon going in to make sure that Venom is able to stay alive. Harvey going to be able to do a good amount of damage on the Adam Warlock that he's also switched to. So is taken out, but Mantis ult is going to come out from the enemy team as well. 60 seconds left on the clock, so we're feeling a little bit of pressure here. Still shooting a lot of shots into this Magneto, though. Ulting, finishing off the Mantis. Unfortunately, that ult isn't going to do very much because his whole team was already dead. They make the pivot to the Doctor Strange and the Mantis, so now we have the... pretty much changed our entire team comps from the first round, which is interesting. So sticking with that Hela, but picking up the Doctor Strange, picking up the Mantis, picking up the Atom. Get some good follow-up damage on this Luna here. He's able to get a pick there. And the Venom is able to take out the Namor. So enemy team going to be fighting two people down going into this final push. Last 10 seconds on the clock. Strange doing absolute work, and this probably saves the game here where he gets the headshot on the Cloak and Dagger right as she ults. Drops below that little threshold. Able to finish her off. Happy's able to run down the Black Widow. Or Widowmaker, as intellectuals call her. Gets a beautiful headshot on the Namor there. And just like that, they get the first point, and they're turning a very, very losable game into something that they can actually play through. They do get a little bit down to the wire in this game, I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is something where you would definitely not like to be in this situation, but it's very never back down, never what kind of situation. A lot of these games really, really are winnable, so even if you're down to that last push, lock in, make the adjustments, and go from there. He gets bodied, though, here, though, so that's just a shame. And then we see Happy switch to the Psylocke. Going to be a little bit more, what's it called? Not significant. Consistent damage, I should say. Harvey rezzing up his team to keep that push going. Making sure to take out these Namor turrets up on height. Psylocke able to get rid of that Namor on height, dislodging him. Getting rid of more of that consistent damage, so now they only have to worry about the Black Widow, which is a little bit more burst heavy. And he just gets... he's kind of getting Widow diffed in this situation, I'm not going to lie. Those picks can be super impactful, but he only seems to be taking out the opposing Widowmaker. So, not Widowmaker, you know what I mean, whatever. They do lose Harvey and the Psylocke there with Hela ult coming out, Mantis ulting to keep her team safe, and he's going to stay a little bit further back here, making sure that he doesn't just run it and die as the enemy team chases down his Doctor Strange. Finally getting the KO on the Hela and the Mantis here. Just going for a couple cheeky shots, charging up that ult. And he does a good job of doing this sprint kind of floaty thing, where he's kind of just sprinting, hitting the jump button. Gets a little bit more of a floater shot, gives him more time to sight up and get some good damage, but lots of scary damage. That Namor on height is going to be a huge problem for them. Luckily, the Psylocke is able to get up there and dislodge him. And looking for a couple picks on the back line here, hopefully. Going into overtime here. Magneto stepping up to touch the point. And Invisible Woman ult being able to keep her team alive. Luckily, they're able to get rid of the Mantis. Losing his Psylocke, but the Hela comes in kind of huge here. Luna and Magneto just kind of sitting on the point there like they did the first point. He gets taken out and instantly rezzed by the Adam Warlock, missing the hip fire. Missing a couple pretty easy shots, I would say, here, but Widow's not in a situation to be able to 1v5 here. And with those few more follow-up kills, they just usher in the point. Reset the clock to 1:30. And once again, they were very much down to the wire. And they're just going to step up here and play a little bit of space. Play some space. Try and keep the enemy team off of this cart as much as humanly possible. Looking to get one of these picks around the corner. They don't have any of their tanks playing on this left-hand side, though. This is a little bit risky. Luckily, Strange able to get a good KO on the Black Widow there. And this Mantis is going to do this a couple times in this replay, where she just steps up way too far. Melania dropping down to 1 HP, but this Mantis, I don't know what these healers are doing in this left-hand hallway over here. Just kind of face-checking the Widow. I don't know what we're doing here, but they just have one person standing on the cart. Namor still checking this left-hand hallway. I think it is important to play for this left hallway because it gives you another extra angle, but I don't know. Gets solo ulted by the Namor. We'll take that. Namor ult and Invisible Woman ult popped. They trade Mantis ult for it. Definitely take that trade any day of the week. And just 15 seconds left on the clock here. Trying to assess, and I think he was thinking about swapping there. Psylocke going to get rid of the Mantis. Widow ult coming in. Not getting anything with that Eye of Agamotto. And this is going to be a definitely down to the wire game. Not sure if the Widow is the pick here. Not a lot of consistent damage. I think his team is really, really struggling to get a whole lot of pressure on that tank. I know it is 3 healers, but this Namor kind of throws here and puts himself in a little bit of a weird position. Gets in a little bit of an ego chow battle with the enemy Widow. Mantis popping her ult to make sure that she stays alive. Does one of those floating shots and almost gets his head taken off by the Widow. Gets some nice hop headshot there. Not going to finish anyone off, but looking to get that body shot. Finishes off the Luna. It's taken very, very low. And I don't know why the Invisible Woman is chasing him here. She gets caught very, very far out of position. And as a result, Mace is not getting healed quite as much. And then Mantis, again, is going to check this left-hand hallway. Not doing a whole lot for her team. And just like that, they are down in a kind of a person deficit for about 15 seconds, something like that. Get a mad stagger, and Mag isn't even able to touch the point there. So that's how quickly a couple big staggers can really dismantle a team. So, and that's you know, testament to when, you know, why you don't give up. You play in overtime. You try and play a little bit smarter. You don't need to do anything crazy. And in that situation, I don't even think Widow was the right pick. I think he probably could have played something with a lot more value. Maybe even gotten on something like the Punisher just to force through that choke. But ended up working out. So going to drop the infinite ammo here and just fire through the portal, not committing until the tank goes through. They do actually walk to the other side and pop around to use this portal as a little bit of cover as they go through, which is an interesting strategy. I don't think I've seen people do that before. Drops down here as he needs a little bit more healing, and his team playing very, very well, keeping this high ground for as long as they possibly can, getting some more damage on the enemy team. And as soon as they take out the Black Widow, they know they're down a little bit of damage here, and the tanks both drop down to play that point, start trying to get more ticks. Mace trying to soak as much damage as he can on that Magneto, but Punisher putting a ton of pressure on him. And I think at this point, we're just shooting at pretty much everything. Breaks the sleep on the Mantis over there. Basically, I think he saves her life in that situation. Mag getting way too comfortable, pops way too far forward. Luna ult not even able to get in range. And everyone else on the enemy team, without that singular tank, is just forced to back up. Even with that Luna ult going, they back away from that Punisher. I'm pretty sure Wolverine was banned this game, but Wolverine would have been the kind of obvious choice to counter this sort of play. You kidnap that tank, everyone just focuses him down out of line of sight of your healers, and this game would feel like it would be very, 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 very easy, but is forced to play a little bit more front to back Punisher in this situation. Trying to use his shift so Mag cannot hit him with that one shot. Mag does miss the one shot, so does Namor. But pretty much every ult popped from the enemy team. We get Mantis ult, Invisible Woman, Mag, Namor, and Black Widow. Not going to have a whole lot of juice for the next fight. And his team does survive pretty well. Ends up trading a kill back on Mace. Widow is far too ahead of her team. She pays for that, not going to be able to get behind that cover. And they're already sitting in overtime. Still escorting that cart. Beautiful follow-up damage from that Mantis to take out the Invisible Woman. And he's going to very, very aggressively zipline here, try and get behind these tanks. Beautiful positioning, picks the Luna. Forces the tanks to turn around, giving his team an opportunity to hit them from behind. They either have to get hit by him or his team. And his team is just going to posture up, basically in the enemy's spawn here. Mad stagger on the Doctor Strange and the Magneto. He does have access to ult as well. Tons of damage in their back pocket. Mantis almost farming ult. Doctor Strange portal walling the enemy team off, forcing them up over to this right-hand side. Infinite ammo coming out, and we're just spraying into the abyss here with reckless abandon. Luckily, the Soul Bond is able to keep him alive, and he does commit ult here. They do commit 4 ults here. Rocket ult, Punisher ult, Mantis ult, Mag ult. Getting as much damage as they possibly can in the enemy team, trying to get them to back up and get any little bit of distance that they can on this payload. Fear Magneto is going to be popped here. Gets the one shot on Harvey. Harvey going to be instantly cocooning. His team cannot live any more seconds without any heals. And his team is going to get forced off of the point here. Luckily, Harvey does use that cocoon, back up quite enough, and this Mantis once again gets way, way, way ahead of herself on that left-hand side. Should be punished there, but gets taken spooky, spooky, spooky low. The enemy team's able to get the nice 6-0 and get the score to 5-3 as we go into that last round. So let's see what we're able to do when this round comes along. Based on the little replay thing down here, you can kind of see what happens, but we'll see. We'll see. Tries to get the counter portal, and this is the weirdest angle I've ever seen. They're shooting up at the enemy. I don't know. This is super strange. Some of the portal tech this game is just super odd to me. So we're just shooting at whoever we can. I think he ended up countering the portal at the Doctor Strange side. I think we should actually probably go through and look just to see what the Doctor Strange and the enemy team saw there. Let's see. Let's see what we see. Oh no, I need to go a little bit forward, but you know what? We're just gonna watch from here. It's gonna be okay. So let's see what this Doctor Strange sees on this side as he's trying to. So we do pop the portal. Starts going around to the side over here. And I think he cancels it. Does he just cancel it? I don't know. That's interesting. Leave a comment if you know exactly what happened there. But the underneath portal is definitely the lesser known tech. Very cool, forcing the enemy to go down that main drag, which is much, much easier to defend. Only 30 seconds on the clock too, so they are, without that portal connecting immediately, they are under the gun. Punisher infinite ammo, they chunk Strange super quickly. Sees Namor over on the left-hand side there, looking to get rid of those squids as fast as possible, making sure his team is not going to be taking too much damage from Namor. Keeping this high ground as well. I think a lot of people do this on defense where they just jump down on a point immediately, but holding this high ground can be huge. Luna ult already coming in from the enemy team. His team hasn't really farmed any ults or anything like that. Luna ult has, I think, come in a little bit preemptive. There's no big DPS cooldowns on his team coming in hot. Mag looking for the one shot on Harvey. The boulder just barely missing. And Adam going to be doing a good job of keeping Melania alive. Is taken out, and Harvey gets a nice clutch res. I have Agamotto coming in, but they're able to pick up the ace and get the win with a score of 5-3. So there was a lot that happened in that game, and I think a lot of interesting swaps. Don't think the Widow was the play. I think he could have gotten a little bit more value on the Psylocke, especially because that ult is very, very good on isolated backliners. But, you know, still got the dub, and we never give up in these games. Very, very losable game, but they clawed their way back. And he does do a good amount of damage here. As you can see, he dies a ton of times, which is not ideal, but does a good amount of damage, gets a lot of final hits, and ends up actually playing pretty well. So if you guys want to watch this replay for yourselves, of course, I will include the replay ID in the description below. Like the video if you liked it, leave a comment what you guys want to see next, and as usual, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.